Moshe coming to you from Israel and the Galilee, where I've lived for a number of years, with an update for the evening about what's going on with the war. We're taking rockets from Gaza, not big barrages, but small, three, four, five, six at the same time, around Ashkelon, Ashdod, which is right north of Gaza, right next to it, and in the Sderot area and the area on the east around Gaza. They're also shooting missiles from Gaza up to Tel Aviv, and Lebanon is shooting, Hezbollah in Lebanon, is shooting a very small amount of missiles into Israel just to harass us. The Joint Chiefs of Staff General from America said that there is no Hezbollah troop buildup on the border with Israel. Now, I don't know. We haven't heard. I've heard that there was some and all that, but I don't think the guy's lying about anything like that. Okay. Um, there's intermittent fighting inside Israel, not with infiltrators from Gaza or Lebanon, but from the terrorist faction that they recruited and trained that live in Israel, predominantly in the West Bank, almost exclusively. Several soldiers have been hurt, and they're getting into fights with them. And it's not overwhelming, but it's annoying, and it's still hurting the soldiers. Um, the crazy people in Hezbollah, it's run by a sheer psychopath called Nasrallah. That's out of Lebanon, and they do have some assets in Syria. He has threatened the American aircraft carriers. But the way he threatened them was absolutely the stupidest thing he could do. He said, "We have missiles from Iran and Russia, and we're going to turn the aircraft carrier into a submarine." Now, I can only imagine Biden's blood pressure boiling over this. I mean, Biden warned him. He said publicly on worldwide TV, he says, if any of you countries are thinking of opening up a second front against Israel, I have one word for you: don't. And they're defying Biden. Yesterday, they shot a substantial missile into Haifa and caused a lot of problems and injuries and damage and everything else. I do think it'll spread to Syria and Jordan and Turkey and Egypt. Just give it a chance. This is it. Bible prophecy. Zechariah 12 should be read with Jeremiah 30. I know the churches don't teach this, but it's in your Bible. Zechariah 12 read with Jeremiah 30, and make sure you understand Jeremiah 30 verse 11 has not yet been fulfilled. It says that God will destroy all the nations he dispersed the Israelites into. And that cannot happen until the dispersion or the diaspora is finished. They call it the captivity. If it happened 900 years ago or something like that, it would have to happen again. It hasn't happened yet, okay? And that's going to be the second Exodus occurs right after Zechariah 12. And I know the churches don't teach this very often or at all, but you should make yourself aware of it. These verses are in your Bible for forever, and they're not unfulfilled. They are unfulfilled. They're not fulfilled. Okay, so the second aircraft carrier group, the Dwight D. Eisenhower, is chugging its way towards Israel. The Israeli Defense Ministry today said that there's going to be a delay of some time until we invade Gaza. Now, probably the American intelligence network with the Israeli intelligence network figured that the best thing to do is not to get outgunned if we're going to start this. America never likes to be outgunned. A second aircraft carrier group is going to be with 6 escort vessels, which are going to be missile cruisers and destroyers, probably Arleigh Burke. These guns, these ships are so far technically above anything that Nasrallah has, or that Iran has, or that Russia has, that it's fairly comical to think they're going to knock these missiles down. The Gerald Ford aircraft carrier group, which is here for a few days already off the coast of Israel in the Mediterranean, because they're going to keep themselves probably a good 25 miles offshore, maybe more. They don't want to get caught off guard with a swarm attack of missiles from the shore, cheap, junky missiles or anything like that. So they might even be 50, 60, 100 miles offshore. They're going to keep themselves in a safe distance, and nobody's telling us publicly how far they are, and why should they? And they shouldn't. The total combined strength, each of these ships can fire 64 Tomahawk missiles, which have a very long range, and I think they're over 900 miles, and they are smart. They have countermeasures, and they got a 500-pound warhead. The total comes to about 700. When the next aircraft carrier gets here, the Dwight D. Eisenhower, they're going to have the escort vessels, and that's going to bring the total up to 1,400. A few days ago, I told you that the aircraft carrier George Washington that just recently went through a 15-month refit. Dwight D. Eisenhower also went through a major refit. So these are older aircraft carriers that have been brought up to very advanced condition. Okay, and the Gerald Ford is the biggest and best carrier America has. It's the biggest aircraft carrier in the world. Okay, it can hold 90 planes, but they probably don't have more than 50 or maximum 60 or so fighter jets. But what they also have are anti-submarine aircraft, reconnaissance aircraft, AWACS, refueling planes, and a plethora of fighting jets. Okay? The other aircraft carriers are slightly smaller. They're Nimitz class, I believe, both of them, George Washington and the Dwight D. Eisenhower. And they're probably going to hold in the 60s, maybe 70 planes, not as much as the Gerald Ford. George Washington, now it's coming out. People woke up and it's coming out that the George Washington will be here too. It'll be a third one. And this is most likely to delay for the invasion of Gaza, which will be bloody, especially for the Hamas. And Hamas will be screaming, for help. And America wants to make sure if help is coming from Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, even Russia, although I don't see Russia in this right now at all. They want to make sure they don't get outgunned. So they'll have probably a good 160, 170 fighter jets, 2,100 Tomahawk missiles. But you got to remember that they can put more Tomahawk missiles in these boats. When they fire their load, they come back to Haifa, and we load them up again. Now, America's been flying cargo planes into Israel for days now, all the time, with all kinds of weapons, okay? Ground troops from America are on ready to go standby in a European country that's not disclosed. My dogs are on Hamas patrol. They're very convinced that there's Hamas dogs in the neighborhood. So the dog walks by to go through. The fleet. Shut up! The fleet is designed. The fleet's plural is they hope is a threat to get these other countries to stand down. If they don't stand down, Biden's not going to let a lunatic like Nasrallah defy him, okay? Because if they get away with it, Hezbollah gets away with it, all the Muslim terrorist crazy countries will do the same thing. And America will lose its clout, and they're not going to put up with that. They're the hammer of the whole earth, the great voice. That's in Jeremiah 50:51. They're not going to put up with it. Biden's blood pressure is probably boiling after what Nasrallah said. Even if Nasrallah just has a big mouth and can't back it up, the fact that he said it worldwide publicly is gotta go. They can't put up with that. The bleeding of missiles out of Gaza into Israel is probably going to continue for a while. Israel is avidly bombing them all day, all night. The place is turning into a ruinous heap dump mess. It's not Damascus. I know about Damascus. It's a junk house, okay? And they're continuing it. And we got apparently new bombs from the United States. I put pictures of these bombs up on my Telegram. If you want to really follow what's going on, follow me on Telegram. Telegram is free. It has 700 million people. It's not censored. And the app is free. It's free, with free, on free, over free. You need to download the app called Telegram Messenger. Then email me for the invite link. Then I'll just send it to you. You don't have to put things in the subject in the email like I've been listening to for years. I'll send it to anybody, you know. So you just put in the subject header Telegram, and I'll send you the link. And it's an excellent source. I put a lot of videos up there. I put a lot of photos up there. I put a lot of my commentaries up there. I put Bible studies up there. And I also do other things. And you'll get the real news. I live in Israel. You'll get the real. I'm here, okay? Been here for many years. You'll get the real scoop. You're not going to have to futz around with, you know, is this real? Is this true? I also translate into English social media from Hebrew, from Arabic, mostly from Gaza these days, and Farsi from Iran, and I guess I'm going to start working on Lebanon now. And I might start working on Syria. A lot of it is just garbage, you know, junk, you know, lies. I don't bother with that. Now, in Israel, they're making an effort for people to spread photos and videos of what the Hamas lunatics did when they penetrated Israel last Saturday, with the horrific pictures of the dead bodies and everything else like that. And these things are horrific. It doesn't bother me, but it would bother some of you. I know it would. And I don't mean you would start crying. That I know a lot of people have told me that already. But I mean, they're horrific where they would disturb you. And if children saw it, you know, so I'm not doing it. I look at the pictures, and they're so bad with babies and children. I don't even want to tell you what was in the pictures, okay? It's that bad. I don't want to disturb you like that, okay? So I'm not putting that fear porn or the hatred or the horror porn, whatever you want to call it, up there with the dead bodies and all that. Yeah, I won't do it. I'm not going to get into it, okay? The worst things you could imagine that you could do it on other human beings, they're doing, okay? And they're trying to deny it, and they're trying to get out of it, and it's not working, okay? They're liars, okay? And they bluff. But the thing you need to understand is the only thing the Muslims, you know, the terrorist Muslims, the terror mongers, understand. I'm talking about the murderers, the killers, the ones that are on the terrorist list. They only respond to force. being nice to him. Israel was nice to him for years in Gaza. They wouldn't pay the electric bill. We'd give them water, give them food, humanitarian aid, doctors and whatnot, give them jobs, and look what happened. They interpret it as weakness. Does the Pentagon know that? The Pentagon knows that. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Sorry, dog issue. Come here and shut up. Come here and shut up. They're on over alert here. It's good for the neighborhood in case anybody's walking around that's a bad guy, you know, and they're gonna sound off. You know, but we don't have that. I mean, it's died down. You know. So shut up now. Really, shut up. Sorry about the dog, but you know I live here and we got pretty harsh conditions. Yesterday I called for a supermarket delivery in the afternoon, and it was here before lunchtime today. So we're getting plenty of food and stuff like that. There's no problem. The delivery was normal. There wasn't any, they're going to calm down. They're chasing a car now. All right, now you shut up. No, 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 no. Come over here, shut up. Sorry. They're at war. You know, they're on war footing. You know? Okay. So, what's, people want me to keep the dogs in the yard. It faces the street in this little village I live in, so you know it's a nice burglar alarm. There's lots of dogs in the neighborhood too, so someone walks by, you can hear the barking as they travel. You know, so that's, if you're a bad guy, that's a nightmare for you. What else do I got to tell you? So we're going to have 3 aircraft carriers pretty soon. So we're delaying the invasion. The electricity is off in Gaza, and the water is off. So that's going to wear them down, and they're not going to be able to charge their communication devices and their electronic warfare equipment, the radios, walkie-talkies, cell phones, and all that. There's no fuel coming in, so the vehicles are going to run out of fuel. And Israel's not going to budge on that. Not going to budge. That's it. They were slaughtering people on a holiday in Israel. Simchat Torah, the 8th day of Feast of Tabernacles, as you call it in America. Sukkot in Israel, or Sukkah in Yiddish. The booth is a sukkah, but anyway, Sukkot is plural. Anyway, Israel is mad. Israel is really upset. To give you an idea, I have a distant relative that I don't think has lived in Israel in 15, 18 years. He was, I'm not, think of him more or less as not exactly a special force guy, but, you know, I'm not going to get into details. And they called him up, and he's flying back. So they're bringing people in from all over the world, and they're coming. They're coming. I don't have any updates regarding the hostages. They're still in Gaza. There's not going to be any hostage exchange that I'm aware of. Oh, this is horrible. There's kids out there tormenting the thing. Come on, shut up! Mommy! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Um, I don't think that anybody's in the mood to go into negotiations with them with a ceasefire to talk about the hostages, which is what Hamas is trying to do until they could get more other terrorists in other countries to come to their aid. Israel has said repeatedly, 5 times a day, the government, that they intend to kill them all. The Minister of Defense suspended the shooting doors for the soldiers. He just said they pop their head up, destroy them. Officially, publicly. So Israel understands how to deal with these terrorists, and they have to show great resolve, and they have to put their money where their mouth is, and they know it. And that's what they're doing, to set an example for these other nuts if they try to take a shot at us. Do I think they will? I do, based on the Bible. It's going to come. America's likely going to get themselves sucked into a war. Iran is the target. Iran is threatening America now. They moved troops around in Iran, and they moved troops around in Syria and Iraq, and they're going after the Kurds now, which Turkey goes after. Turkey and Iran don't get on very well. And we have some smallish American bases in, I think, Iraq, and I know in Syria there's several. But these are not with, 10,000 guys in a base or something. It's probably in the hundreds. And they're threatening to kill them if America gets involved with Israel, which America's already done. And do I think it's a possibility that they will try that? They're crazy. Yeah. You must understand, when the President of the United States gets on worldwide TV and talks as sternly and firmly as he did, there's no backing up. He can't reverse. Trump's trying to steal the thunder, and he's criticizing Netanyahu. I criticize Netanyahu too. Look, there's 6.5 million Jews that live in Israel. So you basically got 6.5 million prime ministers in Israel. That's how it works, okay? Netanyahu warned Syria today because Iran was flying in some foreign minister, something like that, defense minister, one of their mucky mucks. And they were also bringing weapons into, or attempting to bring them into Syria to be deployed with their Hezbollah and other crazy terrorists in Syria and the IRGC to go to the Israeli border and attack. So what Netanyahu did is he destroyed 3 air bases in Syria. Now, I would have preferred if he knocked out the conning tower with the radar and the runways and the passenger terminals and the cargo terminals and set it back for 3 or 4 months. Instead, they just blew the runways up because it was a warning. It was a light warning. And Bashar Assad, the dictator of Syria, has been told, he's a president, formally, but he has been told that if he allows these terrorist factions and Iranians military to come in, we're going to blow his houses up, and he's hiding now in an underground bunker someplace. Dollars to donuts, Israel has the exact GPS coordinates to that place. Now, we have at least one B-52 bomber in Israel now from America. There could be more. I'm hearing there's more, but I know from photographs there's one. This particular aircraft can carry 84 500-pound bombs, which they can release in a few seconds. And that would probably feel like an earthquake of a 9 magnitude on the ground. I mean, you have no idea what this would do. most people wouldn't have any idea, and people that do have an idea that lived through it would never want to go through something like that again. That's hell from above. Now, why the B-52? Because when they attack Iran, they're going to want to get a lot of underground airports, nuclear facilities, and so forth. And these are heavily fortified with concrete well under the ground. Now, America has bunker buster bombs that go from 2,000 to 5,000 pounds. Israel has no aircraft that can carry that and deliver it. America does. So the B-52 is not here to drop 84, 500-pound bombs. We ourselves can do that with different aircraft. We don't have a problem with that. What they're here for is bunker busters on Iran. And then Iran will not like that. When it comes down to Iran, I think the way it'll start, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get there, is the first thing they'll do is they'll take out the radar from Iran. This is standard operating procedure. And can America take out the radar? Of course, come on. Stealth jets fly with missiles that get on the radar beam. They use stealth jets, which they can't really shoot down. They know they're there. The radar shows something, but it gives them about a 25-mile circle that the aircraft is in, which is extremely useless for shooting it down with missiles or even sending planes up there. The plane doesn't know where the heck the thing is. They'll fire, when they turn the radar on, which they will, they'll fire these missiles. We have them in Israel. They're called Delilah. And we launch them from the ground sometime. One day they fired them into Syria over my house. They were about as high as 12 or 15-story building. Two of them. They came from the other side of the Galilee, from Mount Saith. And these things, I never heard a noise like this before. They were screaming like an animal, like, and you heard the rocket engine at the same time. Very distinctive. And they followed the radar track. The Syrian radar was probably presenting a threat to some of our aircraft. So they fired them. And they're not fast movers. They go about 500-600 miles an hour. And yeah, they took out the radar, no problem. They came right in, you know. So the missile launches are irrelevant, because what are you going to do with the missile launches if your radar's not working? Pick them up and throw them at the plane? Yeah, they're worthless. So they got those. So does America have those? Of course. They got them on aircraft. We do too, I believe. And now when there's no radar, they'll open up a corridor, and then the planes will come in. The B-52 is no longer threatened. It's not a stealth plane. And it'll be protected probably by 6 or 8 fighter jets. And it'll go to target and drop the bunker busters. So I imagine they'll probably look at about 200 targets in their target package. And they'll hit probably Iranian oil refineries to stop the sale of oil. That'll punish them because they keep breaking sanctions. So if they got no refineries, they got no oil. And they'll hit the facilities at the water, the piers, that they load the oil into the boats, the tanker boats. That'll get hit too. So they'll be out of business, okay? That should end their funding of terrorists. And they'll hit military bases, but most importantly to them, what they really want to hit is the missile factories, the drone factories, the ammo factories, and the warehouses that store missiles, drones, bullets, because they're supplying Russia with ammo to perpetuate the war against Ukraine. And the European nations in NATO are furious because they got to keep sending billions and billions and billions of dollars of weapons into Ukraine every month. So they can't bust Russia out as quick as they thought because Iran is helping to shore them up. So Israel already hit Iran 2 times and knocked out missile factories and storehouses, but they just rebuild. So that doesn't work. So they got to go in there with very serious measures, and that's what they're gearing up for. The UK has an aircraft carrier, the most modern one they have, with their groups on immediate standby alert, and they're saying that if America wants us, just pick up the phone and we're there. It's probably going to be a 4 or 5 day trip from the UK. Greece sent 2 naval combat vessels down here, like destroyer types. They're here. I mean, they're here. They just showed up. We didn't know about it till they showed up. The other day, we saw pictures of 2 American landing craft here. These are boats that can carry 15 to 2,500 expeditionary force Marines with tanks and armored personnel and artillery and missiles and all the stuff they need. And they were very close to Haifa, like they were a mile or 2 out, like a cruise ship would be or something, So they're probably offloading their soldiers to some base in Israel waiting to try to save the hostages with us. We have special forces here. They've been here a few days from America that are specialists in hostage rescue. This is going to have to be one of the most creative hostage rescues in the history of the world. Because these idiots might have bomb belts on the hostages. They might have them locked in a room with, 20 pieces of dynamite or something like that, or C4, and they just push a button and boom, the room blows up. They might have guards with them in the room with AK-47s that just start mowing them down as soon as the assault on the facility where they are is. And I expect they're probably in at least 10 different locations to make it more complicated. Really tough. They would like to get these hostages to another country, like Lebanon or Syria or Iraq or Egypt, but they can't get out. Egypt wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. America tried negotiating something where there's 338,000 Gazans that are displaced right now. They don't have a house. About 200-something thousand of them are living in UNWRA shelters. And now they ran out of shelters, so they're putting them in schools. Where does Hamas hide weapons and personnel in schools? So that you see how the UNWRA isn't sinking or whatever they're up to. It's not really smart because they're going to go hide with the hostages, with the civilians hiding. Egypt doesn't want them. Syria doesn't want them. Nobody's going to take these people in because they're never going to go back. What do they got to go back to? When we do the invasion, the way it's going to work is we're going to go in initially with helicopters overhead, jets flying to protect, and tanks and armored personnel carriers, maybe mobile artillery. And there might be some ground troops behind the tanks after the tanks clear the way, and they're going to go in. And when they have to be very careful. There's going to be IEDs, improvised explosive devices, hidden all over the place. So they're going to need professionals to watch for that. Although with the tanks, it's going to be pretty hard to knock a tank out, with an IED. Our tanks, Markava tanks, you're not knocking them out so quick. And, when a sniper is shooting from a rooftop or a window, which they will do, they're going to put artillery in it, 2 or 3 artillery shells, right away. No restrictions on engaging the enemy. So the building will collapse, or pieces of it will be gone and won't be usable. And this is going to be ugly because you have to understand that we're going to have to go house to house, room to room. Look under the bed, literally look in the closets. These are like rats, they go hide. Look under the bed, in the closets, look in the gardens if they have gardens, look on the balcony, look in the cars, look under the cars, look everywhere for them. And they're going to be in tunnels, and we'll tell them to come out from the tunnels. And if they come out, they'll be prisoners of war and they've committed war crimes, which doesn't look good for them. And if they don't come out, the tunnel, they'll be given warning. And if they don't come out in 5 minutes or something, the tunnel will be exploded. So you got to understand the amount of devastation and destruction in Gaza is probably going to triple. So you're going to have probably over 1 million people displaced. You might have 1.5 million out of 2 million. So how are they coming back? Where are they going to live? What are they going to do? The streets are blown up, the sewers, the pipelines, electric lines, the water lines, everything, the traffic lights, everything's gone. And it's going to get worse. You know, when this happened last Saturday, Simchat Torah, the 8th day of Sukkot, or Feast of Tabernacles, they were running around in Gaza and in the West Bank, handing out sweet candy to each other. How sweet it is. All these Jews got massacred, right? Well, they haven't been handing out candy since that, that stopped. They picked up these terrorists and they found maps on them that were pinpointing military locations. So our thoughts on the matter there are, the Israeli government, is that the workers that we allowed in from Gaza were all not real workers. They were spies from Hamas, PIJ, and so for Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and they were running around Israel, trying to find locations of military and pinpoint the locations. So that's a problem. You can't move military bases, In terms of Iran firing missiles into Israel, I don't believe they have missiles that can travel and hit Israel with any accuracy. I don't even know if they could hit the right country, and I don't even know if they could go far enough. I doubt it. I'd give it, on a 10 scale, 10 best case for Iran, I'd give it a 1. Very, 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 very slight chance. And then how many of these missiles would have? Now, Israel has 3 layers of missile defense. The basic one is the Iron Dome for short-range missiles. Then we have David's Sling and the Arrow for more sophisticated advanced missiles. So their missiles are not only going to have to reach here, have some kind of accuracy, but also penetrate our missile defense system? I don't think so. Israel is certainly not operating in any fear of Iranian missiles. If they had Iranian missiles that could hit here, they'd probably just rain them down on us. This is just, they like to talk, I say a lot more about these things on Telegram, by the way, so. What else is going on? So the invasion of Gaza is going to be delayed, which is sad because they still have capability to launch 100 or 200 missiles a day into Israel from Gaza. It's astounding to me that they got such a sophistication level. The experts are saying that they could have been preparing for this attack last Saturday for a year or two. I don't know. A long time, for sure. A long time. This wasn't a quickie. And they're hoping that somebody comes to their rescue. Iran, Hezbollah, Syria, anybody. Because they're about ready to be extinct. They're on the endangered species list now, and they're about ready to be gone. Israel is making statements that they're going to destroy their entire organization so it can never be rebuilt again. Is there a chance that America doesn't want us to invade Gaza and that's why there's a delay? No, I don't think so. America has had so much experience in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria. They know what it's like fighting crazy terrorists. ISIS was a crazy thing. It's the same. They say Hamas is ISIS. It's just a rename. Basically, new geography and basically rename. So America knows that. They eradicated ISIS, and they're not going to play games troops. You don't do the invasion. Look, they've got missile launch capability now. In 90 days they'll be sufficiently recovered to really give it to us again. So I think there's a real delay. Lots of nations are greatly concerned about the hostages, including but not limited to Israel. Israel is deeply concerned, grievously concerned. The whole country is. They have captive infants, 2-year-olds, Holocaust survivors, people that are in their 80s or older, all kinds of women. What are they doing to them? How are they treating them? It's just a depressing thought. So it's, a grievous, great concern to America, to Israel, to France, Germany, Italy, the UK, and a number of other countries. When you hear this bell ringing, which I think you might hear, that's a red alert missile launch. That means a missile is coming into Israel, well, today from basically one of three places, most likely Gaza, secondary Hezbollah, and third Syria, which Syria is quite quiet right now. Is that the quiet before the storm? We don't know, but I'm sure our military surveillance and the American surveillance have a complete, perfect understanding of what's going on. So America doesn't want to be outgunned here. They don't want to sit there and take losses and get driven back and then have to call for reinforcements, more aircraft, more boats. So, what's the best way to do this to have practically no troop loss is to heavily rely on the aircraft carrier groups. Because these terrorists can't deal with an aircraft carrier from America. Come on. Let's get real, okay? Let's get real. These aircraft carriers have phalanx guns. A phalanx is a 20 millimeter gun which shoots a 1-pound projectile. They have explosive, they have ignite where they make fires, they have armor piercing, they have all different flavors. The thing fires about 3,200 rounds a minute. They have these mounted on either 3 or 4 sides of the aircraft carrier. The range of the 20 millimeter is 5 miles. When any incoming projectile can be a mortar, a missile, a rocket, a plane, a drone, anything. They can train it on an incoming go-fast boat. Anything coming at the aircraft carrier, this thing puts a wall of bullets in front of it and shreds it. They're going to get through that. Now, that's the last layer of defense that the boats have. They have electronic measures to make the missiles crash and stray off course. They have anti-missile missiles. The escort vessels are very well equipped for air defenses. It's comical to hear. It really is. It's comical to hear a guy like Nasrallah sit there and say, we're going to turn your aircraft carrier into a submarine. I mean, it's comical. It really is. It's like, Wile E. Coyote or something. It's a joke. There's not a chance that they're ever going to accomplish this. Okay? The Hezbollah has 100,000 men. That's it. They have a couple of Cold War era tanks. Maybe they got 50 or 100. I don't know, something like that. A lot of their combat weapons are pickup trucks where they rivet a machine gun mount in the bed of the truck and they shoot a 50 caliber machine gun. It's called the technical in military parlance, but it's rather, it's what a drug cartel uses, guys. That's not a military weapon. Okay? These guys got an Air Force, a Navy. The New York Police Department could have a better Navy than them or something. They don't have, I doubt that, but they don't have a real Navy. They got a couple of boats or something like that. They don't have anything. They don't. What they got? They got nothing. And, the aircraft carrier is protected by aircraft all the time. When it's in a combat zone, they probably got 6 or 8 planes all the time flying maybe as far out as 300-400 miles from the aircraft carrier. They got radar, the likes of which Hamas and Hezbollah wouldn't know. They couldn't even operate it. They wouldn't understand it. It's so far advanced. And they got sonar. And they got planes flying around that put monitors in the water to pick up submarines. Not that they got advanced submarines. Russia ain't coming to help. Russia's got their hands full. Look at them in Ukraine. They're going to open up another front. Come on. Are you kidding me? Russia ain't going to do nothing. The only way to get out of this is they got to convince Egypt, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Turkey, and whoever else is crazy enough to come all at the same time and come after Israel. And that is their end game plan. And read Zechariah 12, read Psalm 83. It's in there. It'll happen. And that's when Jehovah saves him. The two witnesses are in Zechariah 12, burning up the enemies in the right hand and the left hand. They call them the governors, but they're really judges. Isaiah 1 says God's going to run Israel with the judges again, and the 70 counselors. It says, like at the first, which were Moses and Aaron. There were prophets like the two witnesses, and there were also judges like the two witnesses, and they had the 70 counselors. That's what's coming. And you see them in Zechariah 12, which is not Gog and Magog. When you read Gog and Magog, in Ezekiel 38, it says that the Israelis are living in peace and at rest without bars and walls, with much cattle and gold and silver. You think that's Israel today, living in peace and rest? We cleaned out a bomb shelter today. I don't normally go in a bomb shelter, but there's some guests here that would probably want to. That's peace and rest to you. Every few months we take 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 rockets from Gaza. That's peace and rest. Come on, it's not Gog and Magog. That's down the road years. It's Zechariah 12, which they don't want to teach you. Okay, so moving along, also you should read Jeremiah 30 very carefully, especially verse 11. And you should read down further. It talks about Jacob's trouble. It says, great is Jacob's trouble, but he gets saved out of it. That's Zechariah 12. You don't read of one Israeli there getting a sprained ankle. It's not Gog and Magog. So the situation is going to get worse. America knows that. That's why they're going for a third aircraft carrier group. Do I think they're going to bring more aircraft carrier groups here? I'd be surprised. I would be surprised because I don't think they're going to need that. They're going to probably start with ground troops and stuff like that. Jordan put troops and armor, tanks, and so forth on the border with the West Bank. Why? Because they intend to invade Israel? No, the King of Jordan is not invading Israel. Because they don't want people from other countries swarming into Jordan and then coming into the West Bank. Okay? But when you read Zechariah 12, it says that Judah and Jerusalem, they lay siege, which means they surround us. They don't invade us. And Jerusalem on three sides, north, south, and east, is enveloped by the West Bank, or the West Bank wraps around it. So the West Bank is going to be a problem. And Jordan is going to turn against us. In the Bible, Jordan is Ammon, Moab, and Edom. Ammon is where the capital is North Jordan. Edom and Moab are central and South Jordan. They go. Edom and Moab go down the road motors. You don't see them anymore. And the Bible always comes true. If you read Hosea 6, chapters 1 and 2, you realize the punishment in Israel is for 2,000 years. It says for 2 days. Apostle Peter says 1,000 years is like a day. So it's not a 48-hour punishment, it's 2,000 years. Guess what? It's up. Now we're in the year of recompenses, which is, the Lord says, I have a controversy with the nations over Zion. This is the payback. It's the same year as the year of redemption, but it starts with the recompenses. And it started roughly August 1st. So we're in the third month, and time is moving along. And look what's going on. Look around you. Look at the Pacific with China, North and South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Guam, Philippines, Australia. Sound good over there? Every morning they wake up in Taiwan and they got, 30 or 50 Chinese aircraft violated their airspace, and they see 5 or 10 Chinese naval vessels surrounding Taiwan every single day. So what is China doing? It's getting them used to it. It's wearing them down. So the soldiers wake up every day, hey, how many ships are out there today, I'll talk about the second Exodus very fast. Correct, no Talmud. Talmud is an extra biblical book. It's nonsense. So, the second Exodus comes after Zechariah 12. In Zechariah 12, we capture all the land that the Lord gave us in Genesis 15, which it reads, from the Euphrates to the Nile. And that piece of land is about 100 times bigger than us. It encompasses west of the Euphrates River, west, Turkey, Iraq, Syria, all of Lebanon, all of Jordan, all of Saudi Arabia, all of Yemen, all the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, and Kuwait. Then going over the Red Sea, it encompasses all the land east of the Nile, and the Nile runs as far down as Lake Victoria, and the Egyptians built pyramids and junk like that all the way down there too. So that's the land. And today we would call it Egypt, again, east of the Nile River, Sudan, South Sudan, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, and parts of Uganda and Kenya. And this is about 100 times bigger than what we have now. And that's where we distribute the land. If you read Ezekiel 47, in the last 3 verses, you'll see how they distribute the land. And I tell you, all those that are in Yeshua are considered part of Israel, and they'll be there. You read it. Ezekiel 47, the last 3 verses, the land is distributed to the strangers that sojourned with the tribes of Israel, because the 10 tribes will wake up and come home. And the strangers, the foreigners, get an equal share of the land, and they're incorporated into the tribe they went with. And they become, and their children and grandchildren and so forth, become Israelites in that tribe. When you read Revelation about New Jerusalem, in Revelation 21, it says there's 12 gates. Each gate's made out of a giant pearl and guarded by an angel. Okay? And each gate is named after one of the 12 tribes of Israel. So if you're a Baptist or a Catholic or, Foursquare or whatever, what gate are you going to go in? There's no gate for you. Only the tribes. So the believers in the Messiah are incorporated into the tribes of Israel. Read it for yourself. It's been in there all along. I didn't sneak into your house through the chimney last night and write it in there like Santa Claus, So be careful tomorrow. The head of Hamas has called for an uprising of Muslims all around the world to support Gaza and Hamas. Their targets are going to most likely be Jewish, and we don't know what will happen. Now, he is not a religious leader. He's a leader of a terrorist organization. The United States considers Hamas a full-blown 101% terrorist organization. Can he do that and stimulate the other Muslims to do this? We don't know. We'll find out. I do expect you'll see parades and protests, and they may start fist fighting with people, get arrested, and things like this. But are they really going to go bonkers? I don't know. Biden spoke about it on his speech the other day, and FBI and all them are looking out to protect for that. Europe is probably way the heck more vulnerable than America, and we're used to that type of thing in Israel. Our police and border police can handle it quite easily. We're not that worried about it. But abroad is where you need to be concerned. So just be aware it's tomorrow, and we do not know to what extent it'll happen. If it even it may not even get legs or go anywhere. But there you have it. So that's really the wrap up. We're in certain parts of Israel, we're not relaxed because they're getting pelted with rockets and missiles. Up near the Lebanese border, not really pelted, but they sporadically happen, very small amount. And down around Gaza, it's not a small amount. It's very dangerous. Cities have been evacuated and stuff like that. The rest of the country is operating, you go to the store, go to work, and this type of thing. It's all running, I asked somebody to get me a charger for my iPad, and they did. My iPad died. The second iPad I have is dead. I tried a different charger to see if it would revive it or anything, and it's just dead. I don't know what happened. I used it every day, long hours, every day for a good 3 or 4 years, and it just expired. It bit the dust. So I need to get it replaced, and that's anybody wants to give offerings on that, let me know. So my email address is israelgiving with the number 7, israelgiving with the number 7 at gmail.com, and you can request the Telegram link from my Telegram, where you're really going to see stuff that's not in the media, and you're going to get up. I update it 1 or 2 times an hour, so you're going to get really up to the minute. And I have instructions in there how you could sign up on Telegram to get for free, to get the red alerts. So whenever Israel is taking a missile, a rocket, infiltration attack, even a mortar, the red alert will pop up, and you could access it for free. It has a map and shows you exactly where in Israel it happened, and it's in English and Hebrew. So I explain how you can get that on the Telegram site. Every day I explain it. And you'll probably really enjoy the Telegram site. And got not quite 500 members. Anyway, I think that's the full gamut. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and you click the notification bell, so I come on sporadically out of nowhere sometimes with live streams. I only do live streams. If you want to access my videos for Bible studies, I have a bunch on YouTube, but they're not in the video section, they're in the live section. So you have tabs and says, videos and shorts and this and that, community, whatever, and it has live. You go to the live section, you'll find them there. Just scroll around, you'll see them. What else? No, that's about it for right now. You can hear how quiet it is here. There's no sirens. The red alerts are... The Hamas does a steady bleed of rockets during the day and night. No big barrages. They don't have that capability anymore. We normally track the rocket. We get the pinpoint location and send jets in and try to bomb it. But they're probably using portable Katyusha rocket launchers or other kinds, and they just move them around. And our intel doesn't really know when they're going to run out of rockets. And so... there's a bit of a problem delaying the invasion, but there's so many factors at play here. The hostages. America's afraid when they enter into it. Hezbollah and other terrorist groups may go nuts, and they don't want to get outgunned or overrun. And all this stuff. Hostage negotiations, I can tell you from pretty certain they're dead. Nothing happening. Okay. And we're going to keep bombing Hamas incessantly. All day, all night. Because they keep shooting rockets. Eventually, I would say, we're going to keep diminishing the amount of rockets that come in, but it's going to be slow diminishing. And the fighting them in Gaza is going to be horrific because it's not going to be you just ride in with the tanks and see them and shoot them. They're going to be hiding in basements, rooftops, houses, in rubble, and they'll be trying to shoot our soldiers, you know. So it's going to be pretty dangerous, and they're going to put IEDs around the place, improvised explosive devices. They got, for sure, some Katyusha rocket launchers. I don't think they'll take a tank out or anything, but they're a danger. And we don't know what else they got. I don't think they got a whole lot. They might have some squad machine guns like 30 caliber and 50 caliber on a bipod or something, or a tripod. That, you know, that can be open. They have no aircraft. There's no helicopters. They got some drones, but nothing major. That's not a big issue. Reconnaissance drones. It's not a big threat. But it's still house to house, door to door, room to room fighting. It's horrible. So that's why they're, you know, one of several reasons why there's no fuel, food, electrical water going into Gaza. They want them worn down. They want the Hamas electronic equipment, you know, communication devices running out of power. So there'll be more greater disarray. And I don't believe they're letting any of these so-called humanitarian relief. What these other Muslim states want to do is send supplies in there, and that's just going to perpetuate Hamas. Now, the way Hamas operates, they're a terrorist organization, is when they hear there's no water, they, I'm sure, went to all the supermarkets and groceries and confiscated all the water for their own selves, and the food too. So you send humanitarian aid in, it's going to mostly go to Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and what they don't need, they'll give to the people. You understand how they work? It doesn't work well, you know, so we want them to, you know, so to speak, give up the ghost and come to terms and end it. You know, Israel would be, you know, very tickled pink to get the hostages back, so would America, but we're not going to make a deal with them. We're going to, when we'll release 3,000 or 4,000 terrorist prisoners from our jails in return for the hostages, and then they'll be back in Gaza, you know, building bombs and missiles and rockets to kill us again. We know that. So we're not, you know, not too interested in these kind of negotiations. They're not going to just tell, you know, if they go to the Americans are basically say, we don't negotiate with terrorists. If you want to release the hostages, we welcome it. Bring them to the Rafah crossing, we'll pick them up and thank you. Will Israel restore electricity and food and fuel if they do that? They said no. They said no. They're trying to wear them down so the casualties on the part of Israel, or if America's in on it with America, is minimal. They don't want this, you know, a few more days of this and they're going to be pretty worn out. And them not having electronics, they can't use cameras. They can't have cameras around the street that are picking up images and showing the troop movement of soldiers in Gaza. You know, all this stuff. The power's going to be gone. There'll be no internet. There'll be no Bluetooth. They're not going to be able to do anything. What are they going to do? No cell phones, no walkie-talkies, no radios, no electronic warfare equipment. What are they going to do? That's the idea. That's the idea. It's not to punish them. It's to spare lives. And I don't know how they're going to get the hostages out of there. That remains to be seen. So remember Entebbe, we got them out of Entebbe with Idi Amin. The one that got killed in Entebbe, the only soldier that got killed, was Netanyahu's brother. Netanyahu's brother, you might not know that. But. Okay, so I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And for now, I'm out. Thank you.